And we can now call the 2024 presidential race for Joe Biden.
My fellow Americans.
The Republican Party have released a wild AI-generated political ad in response to Joe Biden announcing his run for re-election. So I'm going to show you this ad. It is just, honestly, when I first watched it, I laughed out loud.
¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
I was cold, alone, I couldn't see that you were right there waiting, and I was sinking down.
Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. No, I was not pooping, okay? I was getting myself ready. Jesus. Welcome, everybody. Maple Leaf Dragon, Alio, Echo Wrestle Dragon. Welcome, everybody. Mike Pence testified today before the federal grand jury. Nice. We'll see if anything comes out of that. It's 75 outside. I'm not ready for this. Already feels hot. Oof. Yikes. Right now, it's been raining most of the day today. So it's been at a cool 50-ish degrees. Lots of news. I'm actually holding back. Yeah, I mean, kind of. We'll just get what we can get through today. I'm honestly exhausted, folks. It's been a very, very long week at work. So yeah, and today I got delayed by work again. My workplace finally gave me a computer. No more extra strain on my computer. Nice. Deeply disturbing footage of right-wing hack Steven Crowder verbally abusing his pregnant wife leaks. It was recently revealed that the two have been secretly undergoing a divorce for the past few years. Oh, wow. Who's surprised? Who's surprised? Who here surprised at the reveal that Steven Crowder is a fucking abuser? Wow. Oh, man. We knew Crowder was lying. Oh yeah, no, of course. Like his whole thing is, I mean, he's a conservative, so what can I tell you? No, family values? Nah. No such thing. Twitter has the video. Can you post that? Because I saw the tweets, so I was just like gonna go over like the general story, but if you have the video, or if you know where the video is, we can definitely see it. Because, like, I've seen tweets, but I haven't seen, like, the video. Yeah, those are the only values he cares about, to be honest.
Ready?
Whoa.
Here we go.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah, if you have the video, we can start there. Okay. Is this it here? Okay. All right, well, let's take a look. All right. So this is what I was following. Steven Crowder allegedly being an abusive husband. Least shocking discovery of the week. True. Here's the synopsis. Steven Crowder gets angry, suggests that she's committed to the marriage. She should put on gloves to give his dogs the medicine that his wife was considered was toxic for pregnant women and walk their dogs. So dude was like trying to force his pregnant wife to potentially give medicine that is dangerous for her and to walk the Jesus. As they head inside, Steven Crowder got angrier and was saying by his admission via the audio that I reviewed, yelling angrily, "I will F you up." According to both Crowders, Steven immediately pulled back and realized what he said, but that by that point, she was frightened, rightfully so, and left the house. Yeah, dude, this guy's a fucking piece of shit. What a scumbag. And of course, who better to go to Steven Crowder's abusive defense than the quartering himself? Of course. No surprises here that the quartering would step in and attempt to justify abuse. Even worse, leaking your and your husband's text messages to some douchebag online just to smear him when you're about to cash out millions in a divorce. Crowder may have been an asshole in a random clip. No, not an asshole, an abusive piece of shit. And then like immediately going after his wife. Holy shit. Quote, imagine going through scrubbing thousands of hours of footage from your family's home surveillance system so you can trim a 3-minute out of context fight with your husband to smear him online. I have to think he is better off. Jesus. Except she says that this isn't like the first and only encounter, right? But of course, people like the quartering immediately jump to his defense. Anyways. And Tucker has new videos and right-wing pundits acting shocked and acting like Tucker will be poor in a month. No, Tucker's not going to be poor. Tucker is like immensely rich, okay? Tucker's immensely rich. He's not going to be poor. I saw like the one, I think it was like a 1 minute, 52-second video. Literally not even worth our time to watch that Tucker Carlson video. There's nothing there. Nothing important there. He was making $35 million a year at Fox. Yep. So like the quartering was trying to say that basically, oh, you just took one clip out of context. No, the wife had said that this is years of abuse.
No respect, you said, then we're at an impasse.
Steven, no, we are at an impasse, okay? I love you, but Steven, your abuse is sick. Your abuse
Watch it.
is sick.
Watch it. Fucking watch it.
I'm gonna let go, I'll get what you need me to get. And I need some space. We need to just stop.
No respect, you said, then we're at an impasse.
Steven, no, we are at an impasse.
Yeah. Yeah, so surprising story of the year. Steven Crowder is an abusive piece of shit. Anyways. Yeah, no surprises there. Traditional these are what this is what conservative these are the traditional family values that conservatives talk about. It means basically your wife is to be subservient to you, and she dare not piss you off. She better not do anything to cross you, because then apparently abuse is okay. That's what they mean by traditional values. I mean, It's also not the first of these type of stories with conservatives. And Candace Owens was really upset about Tucker. Yeah. Oh, well. Yep, women as baby-making property. Exactly. Exactly. This is what they mean, okay? This interaction that you saw right there is what they mean by traditional values, by traditionalism, okay? That's exactly what they mean. So, yeah, conservatism, folks. Not even once. Not even once. Yeah, it's basically that Maple Leaf Dragon. That's what they mean. That's what they want when they talk about traditional family values. Make no mistake. Fuck these people. And just to be clear, should these type of people get into power, this is the type of stuff that they would like to manifest in our society. Breaking news. This just happened across my feed. I'm looking at it here. Apparently, there was another train derailment. 4 people were injured, none with life-threatening injuries. Apparently, another train derailed, and this train was carrying batteries and paint, according to the people there. Quote, "There's not any danger to the public at this time. No evacuations have been issued." So we don't know what else is to come of this, but yeah, another derailment happened. There was over 1,000 derailments last year, more than 3 per day. Yikes. Side note, did my taxes today, getting $570 return plus an increase in government bonuses. Nice. Nice. Oh, the good news, there aren't many passenger rail derailments because there isn't much passenger rail. Yep. That's a good point. Alio subscribed with a tier 1 sub yesterday. I apologize. I did not see that. 30 months total with a 29-month streak. Jesus. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate that. All right. Let's take a look at this because I haven't seen it, so I'm curious. This was already a couple days ago, but under the GOP, the GOP has no compassion. Category Bobert says Jamie Raskin is lying about cancer. Not surprised. Like, she's a disgusting human being. There was that other exchange that Marjorie Taylor Greene had saying, like, telling somebody that she's not, like, a real mother or real parent. They're just pieces of shit.
Now call the 2024 presidential race for Joe Biden.
My fellow Americans.
The Republican Party have released a wild AI-generated political ad in response to Joe Biden announcing his run for re-election. So I'm going to show you this ad. It is just, honestly, when I first watched it, I laughed out loud at how ridiculous the entire thing is, but it's right in line with what these people do. First, let me show you quickly here Biden's announcement on Twitter. I'm not going to play the video. It's 3 minutes long, but it's a video. I'll link to it below if you care to watch it. Joe Biden writing here, or at least his campaign team writing here. Every generation has a moment where they have had to stand up for democracy, to stand up for their fundamental freedoms. I believe this is ours. That's why I'm running for re-election as president of the United States. Join us. Let's finish the job. Now, Axios broke the story about the...
AI bringing GOP fever dreams to life. Yep. Because reality is not in line with what they think is reality. So they have to manifest it in one way or another. Cosmic Seeking, I'm being sick from Trump oral sewage he just gave out. Oh, I wasn't aware that he had a speech. I really don't give a shit about what he has to say at this point. Unless it's pertinent, you know? Unless it's pertinent.
The first look at the AI-generated ad. Writing that
Sharpie Diesel, how's it going?
Produced this video that is 100% AI, according to a spokesperson. Let's check it out.
This just in, we can now call the 2024 presidential race for Joe Biden.
My fellow Americans.
Trump says America's being raped under Biden. Jesus.
This morning, an emboldened China invades Taiwan.
Financial markets are in free fall as 500 regional banks have shuttered their doors.
Border agents were overrun by a surge of 80,000 illegals yesterday evening.
Officials closed the city of San Francisco this morning, citing the escalating crime and fentanyl crisis.
Who's in charge here?
It feels like the train is coming off the tracks.
Okay, I laughed again. That was wonderful. So absolutely ridiculous. Let me go over what they focus on here in this fake future. AI-generated future of China invading Taiwan.
Like, I mean, like, these people, like, they live in, like, this is the fantasy land that they think is reality right now. That's what this is.
This is, by the way, just the whole premise is kind of hilarious because they're imagining Biden winning a second term. So I guess that means they failed. But essentially here, putting it on the voters, scaring the voters. Oh, you have to vote because if Biden wins again, well, what if China invades Taiwan? Do you want Trump in control of that? Is that going to improve the situation?
Well, David, Mr. Dolcer, they think it's the better choice. They think that I don't know, Trump is some like god who can have like the best decisions on the fly. But yeah, he's Dole's right here. He doesn't have any control. It doesn't matter who's president. It doesn't matter who's president. Like we can't control what China is or isn't going to do. They believe Trump is a second coming. Yep. Like unironically though, these people are so like fanatical. It's like ridiculous. It's a cult. It's a cult. It's a cult. That's it. Jean Carroll case is in the second day. Yeah, we'll see what comes out of that. Well, I know that she testified. So I mean, it's a civil case, so we'll see what comes out of it. But
our financial markets will be in free fall,
like they aren't already.
The pandemic under Donald Trump, or the financial collapse under Republicans in 2008.
So like if like the economic crisis, like the economic situation isn't that good, and that gets handed off to, I don't know, Trump, and it becomes way worse because Trump is like the most incompetent of incompetent and he really doesn't give a shit, and it makes it worse. So then what? Then what? Historically, like Democratic policies have been better for the economy than Republican policies. They'll just say it's great, yeah. But they just raised the debt limit at Trump's slightest whim back then. Oh yeah, 100%. And then they pumped the debt sky high, dropped it off to Biden, and then said good luck. And then now they're trying to clutch all the pearls and say it's the current administration. Zuchap, how's it going? Welcome, welcome.
Madness at the border. They had to throw some xenophobia in there, for good measure. This is just so ridiculous. And really, they don't even...
Well, yeah, I mean, xenophobia is like at the center of like the whole conservatism thing. Joe's been paying down the debt since he's in office. I mean, like, just like on a policy, like, surface level, democratic policies have been better for the economy.
They don't need AI to put their message forward here. This is stuff that, their base would already believe, regardless, because they believe anything they're told. It's all about scaring people. Notice how there is nothing here about what the Republican Party is offering. No policies, not even any hope here. Like, it's at least throw, I don't know, some rhetorical hope out there, but it's just pure fear.
Well, yeah, because that's how conservatism, that's how conservatism runs. It is literally run by fear. That's the whole point of like these conservative pundits. It's the whole point of people like Tucker Carlson. Their job is to basically show you what you're supposed to be scared of this week. What outrage you're supposed to be following this week. Is it sexy M&Ms? Is it beer? Who knows? American politics isn't about what you're going to do. It's about how bad the other guy is. Yeah, and that's mainly because we have put ourselves into this position where basically there are two parties and there isn't really much wiggle room there. So it kind of just set the stage for where we are now, right? I could go for some beer and sexy M&Ms to BH. We had 3 consecutive GOP administration. National debt would have been over $100 trillion at the end.
Because they understand how their voting base operates. They think so poorly of them that they know they can scare them into voting. So, as Vice writes here, the GOP AI ad might be imagining a future dystopia, but it's one that's intended audience already believes, as I said, we live in today. Americans don't need AI-generated images to imagine they're being overrun by immigrants and that their cities have devolved into anarchy, just like they don't need deepfakes to believe lies about Nancy Pelosi.
Right, that's true. Maybe doing it with AI saved them money because like it doesn't matter. They'll believe it regardless if there was literally just letters on the screen saying these things. If there was just like letters on the screen saying these things, these people would believe it. It's a fucking cult. I wouldn't debase myself by drinking American beer. There is a lot of good American beer. Old Canoe joke is still good though. I don't think I've had that one. That's why Tucker being gone from Fox is great. Fox, the fear-mongering machine, is a little bit is weaker. A little bit. But yes, that's exactly the positive. That's exactly the positive of Tucker being gone. Is that we're gonna see him again. I'm sure he's gonna pop up. I heard. I don't know if this is confirmed or true. The Old Canoe joke. Oh, I thought Old Canoe was a fucking beer brand. Wow. Wow. What a fail on my part. I thought Old Canoe was a beer brand. Womp womp womp. Well, shows how much beer I drink. Anywho, I'm sure there's rumors that Tucker is being offered a position in OAN as some like a higher up like director or something like that. I don't know if that's confirmed, but if so, yeah, he might pop up somewhere. He might have his own online thing. But his reach is definitely diminished, and I think that's a good thing. I know it hurts, but you must pick up the outrageous talking points. Trump is spotting away. Take away China's most favored nation status, per the homeless and drug addicts in tent cities. Oh yeah, no, we covered that one. We covered that remark. Because I thought that was pretty noteworthy. Never in history, when people start advocating for putting people in camps, that has never been a good thing. Okay, that has never been a good thing, and I'm pretty sure this dude's completely fine with doing camps. If he's comfortable talking in this language, make no mistake, folks. This guy would not be afraid to start camps for homeless people. There's no way OAN can afford him. Well, good. Both Newsmax and OAN want him. I'm sure they want him. Whether or not he accepts any offers is a different story. But yeah, I think that the silver lining here is that he definitely won't have the same audience. And that's a good thing. He definitely won't have access to the same audience, the same amount of audience. Like basically mainlining fucking fascism into the mainstream. Nah, that's pretty much done. Ban trans women from sports and abortion. Yeah, this is the classic. This is like the standard Republican platform. Yeah.
And that last point is about back in 2019, Trump tweeted a video of Nancy Pelosi that was altered to make her look and sound drunk by slowing down the speed of the video to 75%. So they've already been manipulating video to try and put a message out there, but I guess AI gives them potentially a larger ability to do that. Last point here from Vice. Like many political ads, it's not about policy or material changes to people's lives. It's about a vision for America, one where you should fear your neighbor and the end times are nigh. And it's just the oldest trick in the book with a fresh coat of paint. It really is. Part of the reason why I think my reaction here is also laughter is because this is all they've been running on for years. And it didn't work last time. Not saying it can't work again, but considering Trump right now is still the front runner, the more we see of Ron DeSantis, the less people seem to like him. So we're talking a potential, the exact same matchup as 2020. Has Trump gained support since 2020? Because I don't think he has. It's just the same base of voters. So ultimately, it is on turnout, and that a lot of that falls onto Biden here, who hasn't done the greatest job. Has had its moments in terms of speaking to some of the right issues, but in terms of actually delivering, you could argue, yes, he doesn't have much of a chance right now with a divided Congress, but he did before the first 4 years.
Right.
They didn't accomplish a whole lot, but again, you could say, well, Manchin, Sinema, okay, there are 1,000 excuses. All that aside, if it's down to Trump and Biden again, come on. I think it's pretty clear. You do you really want to go back to Donald Trump? So, but again, it's about turnout. So is Biden?
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is, like what definitely worries me is the election being such a close election. Because like again, Biden doesn't have, like, he didn't even have like a good amount of support to begin with. The only reason Biden won because in the way that he did was because people were more interested in removing Trump. People were more interested in voting against Trump than really voting for Biden, if that makes sense. Will that work again? I don't know. Will you get the same enthusiasm given his current job? Will he get that enthusiasm? I don't know. It might be just enough to win the general, but it would be a very, very close general election. The edge still goes to Biden. However, being that it is a close, I expect it to be a close election. These cult members are definitely a concern, because they're going to immediately assume that the election was stolen, especially an election that's very close. And I think that these people would do violence. I think these people would actually cross another line further than the insurrection that they did on January 6th. I think that they would go further this time. You influencers must play up how outrageous and dangerous Trump is. I'm playing up, the entire Republican Party is incredibly dangerous. The entire Republican Party is dangerous. Screenshot? What screenshot? Hold on. Oh, Peter Thiel's not donating to any of their campaigns in 2024? Wow. Trump wants to put gas pipeline from Canada to New York, saying to use expensive LNG at the present. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Going to be able to get enough people out in the right states to vote. So yes, he won by 7 million votes, but a lot of those votes, New York, California, states are going to win anyways. When it comes to the Electoral College, what actually decides the election, he needs to get people out in the right states. And that goes to speaking to some of these more, working class issues, speaking to wages, speaking to unions. That's what's going to help push him over the line again, if he is going to do it. But that's, years away, or not years away, but a year and a half away. I guess this is going to be what the Republicans are going to do. Go back to the fear mongering and see if it works.
Back had to walk from the bus stop. Welcome back.
Propaganda is always obvious in retrospect. Today, you look at the posters, the films, the cartoons from World War II and the Cold War, and it's really clear what's going on. It's obvious. You see the emotions that are being played on. You see the symbolism of everything. It's propaganda, and it looks like it.
Americans don't give up. That's right. And I'm an American.
20 years after the start of the Iraq War, this is what the Bush years look like.
Iraq continues to flaunt its hostility toward America and to support terror.
An outlaw regime that threatens the peace with weapons of mass murder.
The Iraqi regime has plotted to develop anthrax and nerve gas and nuclear weapons. States like these and their terrorist allies constitute an axis of evil, arming to threaten the peace of the world.
Today, we know that Saddam Hussein never had WMDs. He wasn't responsible for the anthrax attacks, and he wasn't funding Al-Qaeda. All the justifications for the Iraq War that made it out to be a battle between good and evil, that convinced millions of Americans their army should invade another country, and that resulted in hundreds of thousands of deaths, were unfounded and spread, at times knowingly, by senior government officials and major news outlets.
Yeah, this is a thing that happened. You got fucking Nancy Pelosi saying like, yeah, I knew that Bush lied, when we did that like authorization for whatever UAUMF or whatever. Yeah.
When we think of propaganda, this is what usually comes to mind. War and lies. Very attractively packaged discourse to get people to fight. But there's much more to propaganda than the flashy stuff. Propaganda can be, and actually thrives, when it's mundane. We should talk definitions. Encyclopedia Britannica defines propaganda as the dissemination of information, facts, arguments, rumors, half-truths, or lies to influence public opinion.
Right. Says that he's going to send the leftist public servants back to a constitution school. Oh boy. Yeah. The party of small government. How do you think that's going to get accomplished? Like, let's play that out, play that scenario out in your head. How do you think that's going to happen? And like by leftist, by the way, they mean literally anybody to the left of like, anybody like to the left of hunting homeless people for sport. That's who they mean by the left, okay? These people don't distinguish between like lefties or liberals or whatever, and all the distinctive factions that include the left TM. These people will just literally call like they'll say like the Democrats the left. They'll on purpose conflate these two. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody like Trump, who is an authoritarian, would want to throw people to the left of him to a propaganda education, I guess.
If we're honest, the less sensationalist way to describe most propaganda is influential rhetoric, or maybe advertising. Something doesn't need to be a lie to be propaganda. It doesn't need to come from the government, and it doesn't need to be about war or another country being the root of all evil. If you don't like this video, for example, you can call it propaganda if you want. It technically fits that description. There's no such thing as unbiased media, and I openly admit this channel's socialist bent, so this is influential rhetoric. But most of us don't use the word propaganda correctly, like the very uptight people at Britannica. We tend to think of propaganda more like Edward Bernays, the guy credited with developing modern public relations back in the 1920s. Bernays described propaganda as, quote, the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses. Unlike Bernays, though, most of us think this is a bad thing. He said it was an important element in democratic society. That's because Bernays had a terrible understanding of what democracy is. Bernays saw democracy not as a society where people govern themselves, striving to diffuse power equally between all and organize fairly their interdependence, but as a society that could be managed by what he called, quote, invisible governors. He believed most people were just too dumb or prone to violence to think for themselves, except in the narrow confines of an election between 2, max 3 or 4 pre-selected candidates. The rest of the time, people needed to be policed and nudged from the top down for life to remain decent. And as society started turning away from more overt and violent forms of control, he helped devise strategies that would help manage society through the more subtle means of public relations instead. Bernays wrote mostly for advertisers. He cared about molding habits to increase company profits. But soon enough, the importance of his work carried his techniques into state politics. Starting in the 1940s, for example, Bernays was hired by United Fruit Company, now Chiquita, the banana people, to run a massive PR strategy in the US. Working primarily, but not exclusively, through influencing the press, Bernays and United Fruit drummed up fear of a communist takeover in Guatemala, which had recently democratically elected a president with somewhat left-wing politics.
Yep, yep. This is the company that effectively started the banana wars, so to speak.
If you've ever heard of United Fruit, you know how this story goes. It's the same almost everywhere in Latin America. In 1954, thanks in part to Bernays and United Fruit's efforts to demonize Jacobo Arbenz and paint him as a Soviet puppet, a CIA-backed coup overthrew the Guatemalan president and replaced him with a military dictatorship that plunged the country into civil war for decades. But back to the present. Bernays is long dead, and neoliberalism has perfected propaganda. Influential rhetoric, if you want to be less dramatic about it. The new wave of political rhetoric that's flourished under neoliberalism isn't as often about that bad country over there or the bad ideology you need to hate. That's still around, obviously, but rather the more subtle, more diffuse propaganda of modern neoliberalism is a lot more about who we should be as people. Neoliberalism, more so than previous capitalist societies, has pushed its propaganda, its jargon, and its way of thinking into almost every aspect of our lives. It has found the most effective way to become bulletproof without openly relying on violence. Neoliberalism is plenty violent, but nearly invisible control works. To protect itself, neoliberalism actually molds people in its image through a mix of both rhetoric and economic policy designed to change people's habits and beliefs in line with its own objectives. In other words, neoliberal propaganda creates neoliberal subjects. Neoliberal capitalism is often misunderstood. Because of people like Reagan, Thatcher, Friedman, and Hayek who made small government their whole thing, that's often how we think about neoliberalism. Our current period of capitalism, where government supposedly shrank and corporate power grew. But
Coup? The CIA did what? You want a list of what the CIA... It's probably easier to go through the things that the CIA wasn't responsible for in terms of like what happened in the global south. It's probably faster to go through that list. But yes, the CIA was responsible for a lot of shenanigans in the global south.
That's not what neoliberalism is, neither in theory nor in practice. Neoliberalism actually means more, just slightly different government. Where the welfare state capitalism that existed before acted as a safety valve for capitalists by preventing markets from doing what they do, increasing inequality, exploitation, and poverty, neoliberalism is a different approach to the same problem of how do you stop capitalism from imploding when left to its own devices. Instead of having capitalists compromise, neoliberal policies start from the assumption that it's the general mass of people that are the problem. Neoliberal policies demand tremendous government efforts to build and make sure that the supposedly free markets actually work. And plenty of these policies are there to change people, partly by making every possible area of life amenable to market practices and market logic. The market comes first, and everything else follows. Or as Margaret Thatcher is reported to have said, quote, "Economics is the method, but the object is to change the soul."
Find cozy gifts Mom will love for an extra 20% off during the Friends and Family sale. Kohl's.
Hey. I don't have a cold, by the way. Why are you trying to...
Abstract. In practice, this logic at the heart of neoliberalism translates to real policies, like increasing incarceration, tying welfare and healthcare to work, criminalizing poverty and homelessness, increasing state and corporate surveillance to better exploit and increase consumption, creating new property rights like intellectual property to marketize areas of human life that worked without them, using international sanctions, threats of war, and full-on invasions to blast open countries who don't invite in foreign capital or resist free markets, bailing out private capital when banks crash year after year, redefining corporations as people so they can enjoy more rights, and so on. The free market isn't something that just exists, and neoliberals understood that. Their project is using state power to create and sustain their vision of what it should be, creating the free market and making it interact with more parts of our day. And I know it feels like we've strayed from propaganda right now, but all this is a very important part of understanding what propaganda actually does under neoliberalism. It's there to accompany all these policies, make them more palatable, and ultimately create a market society filled with people who think like capitalists, and therefore accept more easily the fact that more things suddenly start operating like businesses. Here's what I mean. Things that exist outside the market are either reframed in market terms or demonized. Trump ran in 2016 on the promise of running America like a business. In France, Macron ran on promising to transform the country into a startup nation, where every kid should dream of becoming a billionaire. That's an actual quote. The Iraq War, supposedly fought to spread democracy, was briefly considered a success when the country was announced as open for business. Welfare, money set aside by the government to patch the gaps when the market doesn't allocate work efficiently, becomes handouts, and its recipients are admonished as lazy or welfare queens. Every government policy, with the unique exception of the military budget, is treated to a rigorous cost-benefit analysis as if the benefits of every policy could be measured in monetary terms, and despite the ability of governments to fund whatever it wants at a keystroke. Government success is measured not by the impact of its policies, their popularity, or the efficiency with which they're carried out, but by its ability to remain within budget and keeping the economy healthy. All the economy ever means, by the way, is capitalist profits, just as a side note. Outside of the state, all political movements, like strikes, are reduced to this same cost-benefit analysis, with events like the railroad workers' strike last fall being almost exclusively discussed on CNN as a $2 billion a day expense, inviting viewers to make their own judgment of whether better working conditions are really worth all the strain on the economy. And this logic extends further and further out.
Capitalist profits are based. Are you a capitalist? Do you own the means of production?
From the neoliberal core. Education isn't about learning, it's jobs training, the means to acquire human capital so that you can better market yourself to future employers. Self-care is buying the right face mask or treating yourself to a new tech product. Rest is really important and valuable and necessary so long as you're doing it to recharge for work the next day. Every problem is promised to be solved by an app that's democratizing access to something when all democratizing means for these companies is making stuff cheaper. And this isn't just something that tech companies do. In neoliberal societies, whether it's Bush or some tech guy saying it, an association is constantly made between markets and democracy.
Yeah, looks like the circus ended early today, folks. Looks like the circus ended early today. Biden's a man of the people until those people are real workers wanting a day off. True. I'm the most pro-union president ever. Womp, womp, womp. Who, me? Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. 4, but only rent 3. Okay, so you're a landlord.
Or some other positive value like freedom.
Cool.
Nationalized companies are always framed as state-controlled, the implication being that that's necessarily authoritarian and juxtaposed with free markets. Freedom is what happens when BP comes into a country and takes over all the oil refineries. This stems from the fact that neoliberals have a terrible understanding of, and generally a pretty strong distaste for, democracy. and try to make it up by pretending that the market, with its huge disparities of power, is actually where democracy thrives, because people vote with their dollar. No matter that some people and corporations have billions of votes and some people have none. Friedrich Hayek, for example, one of the small government neoliberal guys, by the way, was a terribly undemocratic thinker. His ideal government's upper legislative house would only allow men of substantial property over the age of 45 to vote or be elected. No political parties would be allowed, and each member would stand for a 15-year term. These guys have no clue what democracy and freedom are.
No, I disagree with that part. I think they do know. I think they do know what democracy is and freedom and whatnot. They just don't care for it. Maybe I jumped the shark. Maybe he's gonna explain that in the video. But no, these people, they know what democracy is and what democracy should look like. But they absolutely don't care for any of that. Nobody likes landlords except other landlords. True. Biden is harmless, just a career politician and wanted to finish off his resume, otherwise decent. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if and eviction lawyers, true. I don't know if I agree with that. His track record so far has not been great. Not been great. And I don't know if he's harmless. I don't know if he's harmless per se, but yeah, I don't know if I would say that he's decent. They did know he's talking about dead people. Yeah, we can agree that politicians are garbage. We shouldn't idolize politicians. But I have a feeling that we have nothing. We're not that alike, my friend. We're not that alike. You're a landlord.
But they're not shy about co-opting these terms and the positive values they carry. To them, freedom means giving corporations permission to do anything they want, so long as they can generate profit. And giving consumers the freedom to buy any one of 50 different brands of toothpaste, even as their boss cuts their pay on a whim and their government festers with rich old white dudes who stay there for decades. But the march of the market and its logic extends even further. Past government policy, past political organizing, past the values of freedom and democracy even, and into our everyday life. Your hobby is now your side hustle, my little grindsetter. You're not dating, you're in the dating market. Two words that were actually put side by side by the neoliberal thinker Gary Becker, who argued that more powerful, wealthier men were somehow more entitled to polygamy because they won at business. The most classic example of this, though, has to be the one you hear endlessly parroted by neoliberal politicians, most notably guys like Macron and all those motivational Instagram accounts. Just become an entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is the epitome of the neoliberal subject, the person who is a business. Entrepreneurs are constantly applauded by neoliberals, and the entrepreneurial life is repeatedly sold to people by politicians and intelligent businessmen / grifters with an $80 course as the way to achieve freedom. That's because another element of neoliberal propaganda is that you, and only you, are responsible for your freedom, which is made to be synonymous with financial success. It's propaganda, in the sense that it's a lie, because this rhetoric is repeated over and over again, even though tremendous political efforts are expended by neoliberal governments.
Well, it's not propaganda because it's a lie. It's propaganda because it's meant to, disseminate a certain type of feeling to the populace to make them susceptible to one viewpoint or the other.
To make your ability
influence,
to find
influence. There you go.
Success harder. Neoliberal policies encourage wages to stagnate or decrease in real terms, to cut off the safety net, to defund the public resources that allow the development of people and their skills, to force people into taking on and being submerged with debt, and to imprison and police ever greater parts of the population that live outside the specific understanding of freedom. Under neoliberalism, if you cannot survive in the market, the place that is made more cutthroat every year, you don't deserve to complain until you've spent every shred of your energy trying to start your own business or selling your labor to someone else. Once again, Macron is the best example of this logic. In 2018, a citizen looking for work in agriculture came up to the French president, explaining that he couldn't find a job despite his best efforts. All Macron found to say to him was that there were plenty of jobs around, that he himself would only have to, quote, cross the street and he'd find a job for him. The idea behind the statement being that unemployment isn't the fault of capitalist society, which just happens to benefit from unemployment on the one hand and...
It's not, yeah, and also just like the asterisks, it doesn't just benefit from unemployment, it's actually necessary. It's actually necessary for capitalism to have unemployment.
Overwork on the other, no, unemployment is the fault of the individual, who must be ready to take any job, regardless of how degrading or low-paying it is, rather than be unemployed. Because if the market has produced that job opening, so neoliberal thinking goes, then that job must be worth doing, even if the only way to convince people to do it is to threaten them with poverty if they don't. But statements like Macron's "just cross the street and you'll find work"
just
are the
get a
rhetorical
job,
part
bro.
of the neoliberal strategy. The propaganda that makes it seem like unemployment is the fault of individuals not working hard enough. It's there to accompany Macron.
Threaten them with poverty? I mean, yeah, dude. Because you only have choices. Like I understand if you don't it's okay if you don't understand what coercion means, and it's completely understandable if you can't fathom the concept of coercion, but essentially you only have two choices. Work? No, you actually don't. You either work or there's no food on the table. That's it. There's no government or employer anyone's threatening me with poverty. If you don't have money, you don't eat. That is an implicit coercion aspect of capitalism. If you do not have money, then you do not have a roof over your head and you don't have food. So yeah, it's there. In fairness, your average anti-capitalist is bad on work too. The old mantra of guaranteed jobs for all who want them misses the point. The goal should be as few jobs as possible. Well, yeah, the goal should be efficiency. So you'd rather people beg and be leeches? No, fuck off. That's not what I said. Way to completely misconstrued what I said. But yeah, fuck off. Sounds like a typical liberal. True, dude. I think he'd rather they not have to beg. Yeah, I think that a society as rich and as wealthy as ours should be able to provide food, housing, education, and healthcare as a baseline for people. It's really not that much of an ask, really. But you know, when you have such a childish level of understanding, you make comments like, so you'd rather people beg and be leeches. Should isn't an argument, it's hoping. It's hopium? What are you talking about? As a leech, I can tell you that the vast majority aren't leeches and would work regardless of whether they had to or not. Of course. Of course. I go outside and I work. I don't get paid for all the work that I do around the house. I don't get paid for all the monumental effort it takes me to fucking make my gardens and shit. The childish understanding is that from which you conclude that you're being threatened with poverty. No, I wasn't talking to you. But yes, you are being threatened by poverty, by definition. You have to sell your labor. If you don't have capital, if you are not a capitalist, that's literally not what I said. If you are not a capitalist, your choices are starve or sell your labor. That's it. Me personally, I should be, yeah. I'm not a coward, so I'm not arsed in it. I don't know what that means. That's life? What do you mean? So life should just be like this. We have no imaginative capability. We have no imagination where we can imagine a better system. So we're just not capable of imagining a system where people have food, housing, and education and healthcare. We just can't do it. Is that what you're saying? In what economic fantasy world do we believe in that you just magically acquire food or food, for example? In the no, we don't. No, we don't. You have to either be a capitalist or sell your labor. No, we don't. If I do not work, if I don't sell my labor to a capitalist, I do not have a house. So no, I don't. And even then, I'm forced to be subservient to a bank. Because if I don't pay, then the bank takes the money. I mean, the house. That you have to work or starve doesn't lead to the conclusion that we do not have food. Yeah. If you don't work, you do not eat. So what is your imagined system where you don't starve or sell your labor? So basically, actually, never mind. I don't care. I'm being chillin'. Alio with the 14 biddies. Thank you so much. It's simple. It's simple. The government, as part of its responsibilities, should have programs to provide people with food, housing, education, and healthcare. That's literally it. That's literally it. ADT is only a sock them or dumb sock. It's not like he's going to suggest anything that it's radical anyway. Yeah, the government. All right, listen, bro. I don't have time to deal with fucking clowns. But yes, we can have a government social safety net. Where does the government acquire this food? Where do you think it's going to acquire? What questions are you talking about? We do already. So the government has like magical food stockpiles that they hand out for free? No. Someone has to engage in labor to produce the food. Yes. Yes. Cool. What is the point? What is the point of that comment? The problem isn't the labor. The problem is the fruits of the labor are going to capitalists. Oh. People have not heard of EBT or food stamps. Yeah, but that's not even guaranteed either. The capitalists aren't hoarding the food. I never said that. I literally never said that. Anyways, if you can imagine the tax system being able to fund the military for $800 billion, I'm pretty sure that we can afford some cuts and provide people with food, housing, education, and healthcare. Yes. Every time you work, well, you wouldn't know. But every time you work, my labor, the fruit of my labor is going to capitalists. I don't get the full worth of my labor that I produce. You should know this. We have food, housing, education, and healthcare. Now, it's not guaranteed. What part of guaranteed do you not understand? Are you having trouble with the English language? I meant guaranteed as in a universal system where people have food, housing, and education. And we can guarantee that by reorganizing our priorities with taxes. It's that simple. It's that simple. If we have $800 billion for the military, I think we can cut some of that and provide basic fucking shit. I do have a job. Fuck you. Piece of shit. Anyways. Yeah, now I see why they were banned by a bunch of channels. Cool.
Macron's reforms to French unemployment that act.
Americans really got that Market Fisher capitalist realism. Yeah, I know. And like, it's unbelievable to me that you can't have like a simple imaginative scenario where the government actually decides to like, hey, let's do the right thing and actually provide services for people. Completely incapable of imagining these things and stuck on the most pedantic fucking bullshit. The labor will get done by some private ownership and government administration. Just doesn't need to be provided by a profit-driven, publicly traded price. Yeah, exactly. But we can't. He's incapable of imagining a system like that. And quite frankly, it's not like out of the realm of possibility to enact within the confines that we have right now. That's what I aim to do. Okay? It does already exist. Things like this already exist, and he's just incapable of imagining something like this here. Anyways.
Actively make it harder to get unemployment benefits, and overall, just make life worse for people without work. It's in these moments that the paradoxes and contradictions at the core of neoliberalism are on full display. On the one hand, you can do anything you want, be an entrepreneur, dream of becoming a billionaire from the earliest age, and yet, on the other hand, you're a lazy bum who must be willing to accept any job at any rate and will do so in an environment where every means of collective support is gutted, and the thing that will actually decide if you can do what you want is the market, the place where big companies and governments set the rules for what ultimately.
Too bad here in Britbongland, we've had 12 years of Tories who had openly stated they want major functions shifted to their private mates. Yeah, not surprised. Seems like I missed the troll. I had to take my dog out, but she was one. Oh yeah, I did a wear ban with the Posada bot. Yeah, that dude's got a list. Okay, and he was banned on the majority report, so no surprises there. It didn't take that long for him to devolve into ad hominems, because it seemed like he wasn't able to comprehend the very simple concept of like reorganizing priorities of taxation. He just wasn't able to understand that. Maybe you got confused and thought you were the majority report with that background. Nah, that can't be. That can't be. I'm not even on the main channel. Unless it was me who banned them and I'm a mod. Who knows? Dankly welcome. What's more impactful in your eyes, cutting the US military in half or taxing billionaires? Why not both? Why not both? Although if I had to choose one, I mean, like, honestly, I think you could probably raise more, money, by taxing billionaires. I don't know. You probably don't remember me, but I've been here before, like, several years ago. Really? One of those two things is unlikely to happen. Cutting the military funding is not substantially. Maybe. Yeah, there's always another threat. Yep. Yeah, you were here a couple years ago. Always at war with East Asia. I feel like cutting military is more likely than taxing billionaires with the outside role they have on legislation. Yeah, but they also control the military industrial complex. Who makes the weapons? They're private manufacturers, so they have a say too. That's why it's as big as it is. I don't know. To be honest, I don't think either of them is happening. Well, yeah, of course. I don't see a massive move to cut the gargantuan military budget to provide us healthcare. It's just not a thing that's going to happen. Also, any type of like taxation for the wealthy always gets fought tooth and nail to the very end. But yeah, glad you admit it can't and won't happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying politicians are unwilling to do what's right because of, well, capitalism has allowed this kind of symbiotic relationship between capital and government. So it's not that it can't, it's just that they won't. They've already been captured by money. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's not that it can't happen. Tomorrow, Congress could literally draft up like legislation to make Medicare a universal thing, but they won't. Tomorrow, Congress can be like, you know what? We're going to propose multifaceted plans to actually eliminate poverty, or at least to do the best we can to reduce poverty to as much as possible. But they won't. Tomorrow, Congress could get together and say, we're going to reduce the military budget spending in the next year for, like, I don't know, $100 billion and pour that money into, like, whatever. Like, but they can. They just won't. Or, yeah. Honestly, I don't think there's much hope for leftist policies in the West right now. We just have to take on what we can get and focus on spreading the message and showing solidarity with the third world. There's an actual change for change. There's an actual chance for change, I think. To me, those are two of the biggest things worth pushing for, but they're exceptionally hard. What, like taxing billionaires? I mean, yeah, it's not going to be against that. Lobbyists also control things and may not want real change. Yeah, that's part of the massive problem. I mean, Dankly, while it's true, it doesn't mean we should not continue to do what we're doing. It's never going to happen. Probably not, but it doesn't mean that it isn't the right thing to do. Doesn't mean we shouldn't advocate for it. Doesn't mean we shouldn't advocate for taxing the rich. Doesn't mean we should advocate for... it doesn't mean we shouldn't advocate for more unionization. Doesn't mean we shouldn't advocate for more regulation. So I don't understand what the point of that comment would even be. It's never going to happen. Okay, so then we should just do nothing? Is that what your solution is? That's not a solution. We should take what we can and have realistic expectations. Yeah, I completely understand that. I completely understand that. That's why I push the things that I do.
Generates profit. Do what you want, so long as it generates profit for those at the top. Everything else is worthless. If you're not convinced, think of every centrist or conservative politician's speech about jobs for the past 50 or so years. In those speeches, whenever they talk about unemployment, it's never the responsibility of employers and the market to cater to the desires and skills of workers. It's always your responsibility to retrain yourself and lower your standards for the jobs that they offer you. Flexibility, independence, and resilience are elevated as virtues, because a market that can exploit and dispose of people at will is more profitable than one that guarantees everyone a decent job with good pay and security. It's a form of control that doesn't rely
Yeah, so like the idea that there is no coercion is ludicrous to me. The idea that this former clown that was in chat couldn't understand the simple concept of how like coercion works. That like if I literally do not have this job, if I literally do not have a job, that gives me money to be able to then pay for food, then there's no food. Then I don't eat. I don't have a roof over my head. It's that simple. You can grow it or hunt. True, dude. You know what? True. Fucking true, man. Tell that to the people in like a fucking 1-bedroom apartment. Yeah, bro. Just grow your own food. I think in order, yeah, just hunt, bro. Bareback hunting in Birmingham City Center. I think in order to bring change, we need to focus on growing the left, although the agitprop, media and stuff like that, like what you're doing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, any addition, any voices that get added onto it, is definitely better. Even if you have a small channel, even if you have like small views on YouTube, or Twitch or whatever. Yeah, if you can, you should. You would have to go bushman. Yeah, like, and even then you can't really, because like you can't have electricity because you need to pay for it because private companies have the have the monopoly on that. You have to pay for electricity. You cannot not be on the grid. You have to be on the grid if you have any electricity. If you want water, if you want running water, well, that has to go through the city. So guess what? You have to pay for that too. There are regulations on even the type of structure you can have on your own land. So you can't just buy land and live there. Because you won't be able to build the structure unless it's up to a certain code. And in some cases, you may not even be able to. Yeah, that's also a good point. Like, how much do you think, like, the tools to make this happen cost? Oh, you're going to make it yourself? How? I want to get solar so I can get money back. If you produce more than you use, they will pay you. Yes. I think, like, the most benefit from, like, solar, depending on what kind of solar you get, magically paying more taxes will make it occur. What are you talking about? Anyways, being exposed to content by Noam Chomsky and Kurznick helped me see things from a different perspective. Yeah, I mean, I think like Chomsky definitely has a lot to draw from. Personally, I would just throw mental blasts to paralyze the rat and then eat it whole. Yeah, there you go. Depending on the solar company, if your solar is able to like run off grid, meaning like if the grid goes down but the solar still works, I think that's pretty valuable. Do a deep learn on Bear Grylls videos. Oh, I remember Bear Grylls. The way to make something like that work is collectivism, like the community farms in Vietnam or Cuba for once. For instance, yeah, I mean, of course, you would be killing the rat instead of millions of worthless people on welfare, leeching off the working class. Yeah, get fucked, you piece of shit. It seems like you need a battery to store excess energy. Yes. A lot of solar systems come with a battery backup. Imagine having a username saying love not war and then making the statement millions of worthless people on welfare leeching off the working class, as if like fucking people that are on welfare aren't fucking working. Have you seen like the actual statistics of people who are on welfare, who get welfare benefits, who are also full-time fucking working, who are also full-time workers, but because their wages are so fucking low, they have to get like food stamps or other welfare. Like, honestly, pieces of shit like you are the reason why we can't fucking move forward. Pieces of shit like you are the reason why we can't move forward. Unbelievably fucking childish and like completely off base. Party of family values, true. Party of family values who would rather take away like funding for fucking children to own the fucking libs or whatever. Half of universal credit recipients are employed. Yeah. There's a massive chunk of people who are on government assistant programs that are fucking working. So like, yeah, dude, fuck off. Real piece of work. And the UK employment rates for people on universal... Oh, you're talking about the UK. No, wow. GOP 2024 is all about increasing the military industrial complex and facilitating conflict with China and Russia. The GOP is just about fear. The GOP is they're like the only business model that they have is fear. That's it. It's fear and outrage. That's the only thing that they're selling. Okay, no policy whatsoever. It's just fear and outrage. And you can see how like it rots their fucking cult members' brains by like the type of comments that these people have made today. Can you imagine not even taking 5 seconds to like Google what the statistics are for people who are on welfare or on government assistance programs and the number of people who are on assistance programs and full-time workers? Like not even like an inkling of curiosity to try to Google a simple statistic. Is it fear to distract from actual policy? I don't know. Since the 90s, most people on welfare do work. Welfare pays little, and many states want that money back. And they're full-time workers too. There's people who are literally living in their car, working full-time, but they have it's not enough. It's not enough. There are people who literally live in their car and are full-time employees. So please spare me with that bullshit. Jesus Christ. Anyways.
Rely on the negative, you can't do that, but convinces people that they can do anything, and when they inevitably come...
Jesus, I start like making the most minimal critiques of fucking capitalism, and all these people come out of the fucking woodwork. Amazing. I'm going like this is like the most like I'm making like the most mealy mouth fucking critiques of capitalism because I want people to maybe think about like an alternative, maybe to think about like, you know, hey, this isn't working. We should probably think about something else. We should probably develop a system that's better. We should probably turn to a system that doesn't exploit people this much. We should probably think about a system that's a little bit more democratic than what we have now. Because this shit ain't working. Like, that's my whole, like, that's part of what I aim to do, is for people to question, capitalism. That's my political and philosophical position. If you try to make me someone I don't like money, I won't do it. Well, I think they're pretty lukewarm. I think that the arguments I make, like, in terms of, like, how dare you criticize capitalism? America's perfect. True. My bad. Ali with another 15 biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I live in a super privileged position right now and that I don't currently have to. The downside is I'm poor as balls. Jesus, and these people come out of the woodwork. They can't even like accept the small criticism of capitalism. They start screeching about how like people are leeches, about how like poor people are leeches because they have to work while on government assistance.
It's because they have the wrong mindset.
Or like the incapable the inability to understand how coercion works, which is like the propaganda is strong, which is funny enough what the entire video has been about, which is like the most, thank you for pointing that out. That is like the most ironic thing about this entire segment that we've been going through. The entire video is about propaganda. The entire video is about neoliberalism, neoliberal propaganda and how it works. And we've got people like essentially making the case in real time for this fucking video. Damn. It just hit me. There's a reason Atlas Shrugged is pushed as a #1 class best classic best of all time book. Really? Really? It's okay. Yikes. But in most Europe it's considered to be trash.
Set. Work harder, think positive, and anything is possible. Look, every political movement has its propaganda. It's rhetoric that it's getting out there to try to bring people to its cause. But what good is neoliberalism? We work harder for worse pay, and we're burning out like never before. The value we produce is captured by a few billionaires who blow it on joyrides in space and buying social media platforms so people stop bullying them. Neoliberal propaganda communicates the most shallow and meaningless definitions of freedom and democracy. I'm tired of it, and I know you are too. We talked a lot about how rhetoric can be weaponized in this episode, so I wanted to take a second and give a concrete example of what that looks like using today's sponsor, Ground News. Let's take a single event, the UK junior doctor strike, and see what headlines look like from outlets with different interests. Remember, the goal of effective propaganda is to persuade. So let's see how these different news outlets try to get us to feel a certain way. Here are 3 headlines from 3 different groups. Same story, but take a look at how subtle wording differences can completely change our gut reaction to the event.
I went to a couple of these pickets based. Imagine being a billionaire. It's a great investment to fund neoliberal propaganda. For a few million, you can convince some people to support billionaire tax cuts. True. Yeah, Epoch Times is not a real news outlet, okay? Just to be clear.
Event. Here we have examples of
criticizing one streamer was asking people to donate socks and the world just got through COVID. Wait, what? Someone was asking for a donation of socks?
Wing coverage, nominally centrist coverage from an outlet with a single wealthy owner, and coverage from an explicitly socialist perspective. Notice how the story is framed. Patient safety, patient convenience, and the actual reason for the strike. By omitting certain details, or by giving precedence to one quote or fact over another, news outlets can frame a story in a way that nudges the reader towards a conclusion that benefits their operation, often beholden to obscenely rich individual owners or a particular flavor of economics. This is something I get asked about a lot. How do I help parents or friends break out of their little propaganda bubble? It's great to analyze an event like this, comparing coverage from different interest groups, but it's a lot of work, and none of us have time for that. That's why I always recommend people check out Ground News, because it has a ton of really useful tools to make building media literacy skills a lot easier. Ground News is—
All right. I think we get it. Great video. And I love how like it was proven correct in real time. Ground beef. I love how this whole thing was like proven correct in real time. Amazing. All right, folks, we've got a few things to go through. So really quickly, because we don't have much time. I think most of us have already seen this. Hey, stop it. No. I think most of us have already seen this. Bernie Sanders has basically said that he will endorse Biden, essentially making it so that it's pretty much guaranteed that Bernie isn't going to run. I didn't think he was going to run from the beginning, but he officially endorses Biden and officially rules out any campaign run himself. I know a lot of people were angry. I know a lot of people are angry. I mean, honestly, it is what it is. This may be a pragmatic move, seeing as like Bernie Sanders is getting on the older side as well. Maybe he just doesn't want to do another campaign. Maybe he sees this as the only play left to maintain influence in the party. Who knows? But it is what it is. It's sad when friends and family can't break out of that propaganda bubble, but it's even worse when people you love are actively trying to become capitalists or landlords. But that's the thing. Like, you will never, like, unless you're incredibly wealthy, or unless you have some kind of like transfer of wealth, that's like not a thing that happens. Or the third option, you get incredibly lucky. You win the literal lotto, by like, I don't know, starting a business that gets picked up by like wealthy investors or something. It's like, dude, you're not a capitalist. Stop. You're not a capitalist. You're a worker. Okay. So many times I hear like, oh, I'm a capitalist. Do you have capital? No, I work at, whatever, such and such joint. Then you're not a fucking capitalist. You don't have capital. What did Florida reach to help DeSantis? Oh, yeah, we'll get to that because that's actually an important article. Do you think AOC will run in 2028 or sometime later? No clue. No clue. 2028 will definitely be a more open field. So who knows who's gonna jump in the race then. I just talk like socialism is normal and capitalism is cringe around everybody. There you go. There you go. It's worth noting 40% of Americans believe a literal rapture is coming and 10% think the earth is flat. Yeah, well. Yeah. Maybe AOC will run for president later, but USA will vote for a woman president. Kamala's already VP, even if I'm popular on Twitch and other places. I don't know. I don't know if she's going to throw her hat in the ring in 2028. Raptures for people who are typically cheaters. 2024 is really Trump versus Biden. I mean, basically. Let's be honest. Basically, the stage is set. The stage is set for basically Trump versus Biden. Unless like some external factor comes in that we don't expect, it's basically gonna be Trump versus Biden. Basically. I mean, like, there's no real challenge. There's no real challenge to Biden at this time. Neither on the Republican side, there isn't really much of a challenge. I mean, Ron DeSantis is like double digits behind Trump, even if he's like the second contender. He's like double digits behind Trump. Like he's not he's not close. So basically it is going to be a rematch between Biden and Trump. Trump better than DeSantis? Yeah, kind of. Kind of, because DeSantis is dangerous. DeSantis is dangerous. Trump might be unpredictable, but DeSantis is definitely more dangerous. Do not underestimate DeSantis, okay? Do not underestimate DeSantis. He knows what he's doing. He's incredibly dangerous. He's incredibly dangerous. Isn't it how it went with Hitler? I couldn't tell you. You think DeSantis would have a would have a better chance if he were to win the primary, better chance than Trump. DeSantis versus like Biden matchup, in a general election, maybe, maybe. I don't know. I thought DeSantis was going to run for 2028, but it seems that his campaign might announce mid-May. So who knows? Wasn't Hitler in and then out and then in again? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Then yes. White House regroups after McCarthy's debt ceiling success. Yeah, I don't know. I think DeSantis is more appealing to moderates than Trump because he acts like a politician. Yeah, but his numbers are still pretty bad around, especially like his only shtick is like the anti woke bullshit or whatever, and like people are just kind of like annoyed and tired of it. Like his fucking like stupid fucking crusade against Disney, which like again, I don't really give a shit about Disney. But people are just kind of tired of this like anti-woke bullshit. They don't care. They don't care because they're realizing it is bullshit from the beginning. Okay? It was bullshit from the beginning. So that's like his only shtick. DeSantis' only shtick is like the anti-woke stuff. It's about as much as he has. That's about as much as he has to offer. Give it a little more time. If the schools fall apart in Florida and women start having a health crisis, it might reflect poorly on Ron. Maybe. Trump will go to jail and DeSantis will promise to pardon him if elected. I mean, who knows? I don't know if Trump is going to ever see like any accountability. I don't know. One can hope, but I don't see Trump going to jail. Copium Trump going to jail. I mean, I would love to see some accountability, but I would love to see accountability for the shit that's like serious too. Obviously, mishandling campaign funds is a massive no-no, and you don't want to set that precedent. So he should go down for that. But the whole like insurrection shit. The whole like inspiring a literal fucking insurrection. I mean, like, damn. The fact that like there's no accountability is wild to me. There's such a disconnect. People will probably blame Biden for Ron's failures. Probably. Every U.S. president should be tried at The Hague. I'm sure that every U.S. president has enough for them to be tried as a war criminal. I'm just saying that there's a unique circumstance where you had a president essentially inspiring and encouraging an insurrection. Wild to me. And like that same party that the president is the head of attempted multiple schemes to like fucking overthrow the election. Wild. The Trump CFO is in jail. Yeah, but that's not Trump. That's the stooge. That's the fall guy. That's the guy that's supposed to go to jail if something happens. That's his purpose. But I'm saying like I want to see some real accountability for that type of shit. I mean, inspiring an insurrection, encouraging insurrectionary behavior. The fact that your party led multiple schemes to throw the election. Well, are you talking about the international court? We don't, the U.S. doesn't even like acknowledge it. So like, I don't know if it's necessarily bootlicking US, we don't even acknowledge it. We don't even acknowledge it, so whatever. It is what it is. Anyways, folks, Supreme Court Chief Justice Roberts declines to appear at a Senate Judiciary hearing. So apparently, we're gonna go through this one really fast because I've got to go. The U.S. is most scared of the world wanting its revenge. Yeah, well, when you've been the playground bully for, decades and decades, eventually, just saying, eventually people are gonna get tired. Eventually, people are gonna get tired of your shit. Anyways, TLDR, Chief Justice Roberts refuses to testify at this Senate Judiciary Committee based on all these corruption scandals that not only have embroiled Clarence Thomas, but Neil Gorsuch as well. And after the Neil Gorsuch scandal broke, he then decided that he's not going to testify. He's not going to take ownership of what the heck is happening in the Supreme Court as a Chief Justice should, but, whatever. So basically, this tells me that he's completely fine and okay with the corruption, and he doesn't really want to have any accountability for it. De-dollarization is happening. I think there is a movement. Whether or not, like, it gains any more traction than what it is yet to be seen. But something like that could take a long time. So yeah, TLDR, dude refused to testify. My opinion, he should be subpoenaed. If he doesn't want to testify willingly after getting that like voluntary, I guess he's being asked voluntarily, that's fine. He should be subpoenaed if that's the case. If he doesn't want to testify voluntarily, he should be subpoenaed and made to answer for what the fuck is going on in the Supreme Court. BRICS is quickly expanding its influence, and in turn, de-dollarization is expanding quickly. I mean, I think, like I said, I think there is a movement. I just don't know how deep that's going to go. Or if that just means America is going to do another freedom run, another democracy run, if you catch my drift, which will be very bad, very, very bad. I don't know what the result of that's going to be. I don't know if I'm comfortable going through this. We might have to do this when we get more information on this spending bill. So at this time, by a margin of like 2 votes, the Republican-held Congress has decided that they're going to pass this spending bill to attempt to lift the debt ceiling with caveats in hopes of bullying the Democrats into accepting this. What's in this? I got to do a little bit more research. I was going to get a little more into this, but now I think we don't have enough time for me to figure this out. Cutting 20% of spending across the board. That's literally it. That's a TLD. That's their big idea. Debt ceiling going higher. Brad from Turing News covers a lot of world economics when he does stream. True. You're right. If you want a better take with that, There you go. The impact of ocean temperatures hitting a 4-year high. Cool. Ocean temperatures have soared recently, hitting their highest point for April and March in over 40 years. Data from the Climate Change Institute, getting rid of tax subsidies for green energy is in it. Not surprised from Republicans, not surprised. At the University of Maine has shown that since mid-March of 2023, the average sea surface temperature worldwide between the latitudes of 60 degrees north and 60 degrees south has been higher than it ever has been since accurate satellite temperature records began in 1981. Ocean temperatures have been at all-time record warm levels for 42 days straight. Colin McCarthy, an extreme weather expert and content creator, said in a tweet garnering over 330,000 views, "It's completely unprecedented in modern history of Earth." Yeah. This will impact many life forms and especially primary producers, which live on the surface as they are dependent on sunlight for fixing CO2. Thomas Mock, a marine microbiologist at the University of East Anglia in the UK, told Newsweek. Maybe we just need a volcanic winter to cool things down. Cut veterans by 20%. Yes, I did see that. Food stamps cuts and more of them Biden promised to veto or forced the bill to die. Yeah, I mean, like, no student loan relief. Not surprised. Republicans don't give a shit about anybody, really. They don't give a shit about veterans. They don't give a shit about poor people. Yeah. Absolute fucking ghouls. Emma on the Majority Report covered the green capitalism illusion today. Damn, I miss part of the interview. Most of the time I'm like in chat watching. Now I need to go back and watch it. Port Sides, if you want to send me that, you can. Shutting 20% of office that deal with Social Security benefits and canceling the added staff to the IRS. What happened to the student loan forgiveness Biden promised? It's all good. You can always send it to me. Well, it didn't go far enough, for one. The student loan relief that he promised didn't go far enough. And when he did try to put something forward, it was immediately stopped by Republicans. Conservatives don't even want you to have, like, conservatives don't even want you to have a crumb, okay? Conservatives don't, like, the idea that some people might actually benefit from a government program that was very popular when he proposed it. It actually had a significant impact on his approval rating. But anyways, when he tried to implement like the most like lukewarm idea of student debt relief, Republicans and conservatives essentially said nah. Student loan is in front of the Supreme Court. Yep, because conservatives decided to stop it. So if you're wondering where it went, yeah. That's what happened. Manchin and Sinema said no. Yeah, so he had to do a other method to attempt to relieve some student debt, since like I said, conservatives don't want you to have any crumbs whatsoever. Anywho, primary producers in the oceans are mainly algae from microscopic size to the size of trees. To efficiently fix, was it an executive order? I actually don't remember. It might have been. Efficiently fix atmospheric CO2, they require nutrients. However, if the ocean warms up, vertical mixing is reduced because a warm layer basically acts like a lid on top of the ocean. We call this ocean stratification. This limits the flow of nutrients to where primary producers are, a surface layer. Hence, productivity is reduced, potentially leading to positive feedback loops as less CO2 is being fixed. Loop anthropogenic CO2 leads to heat. This leads to more CO2 remaining in the atmosphere because of reduced uptake by the ocean's primary producers, so on and so forth. Yeah. And of course, this has also a myriad of different like problems, not to mention coral bleaching. Marine organisms also suffer, but also this increases the intensity of extreme weather events, like more powerful hurricanes, melting ice, which increases sea level, and that has other domino effects, like it states here, destroying habitats of thousands of species, including the polar bear. Yeah, the currents as well, which could potentially have other domino effects. I mean, yeah. How about the outsized benefits from the GI Bill post-World War II? It was a social program that did a lot of good. Yes, yes, it did. Asterisk, it was also incredibly, it was also bullshit because it wasn't universal. Take a wild guess at who wasn't eligible for the GI Bill. All right, folks. Exactly, Sharpie Diesel. You got it. Debt limit, USA Today passes blah, 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 deep cuts. Both see Republicans are playing with fire. Story by Rich Latta. The bill has passed current time. The House passes the debt ceiling plan at a possible June default. Yeah, it heads to the Senate, which I doubt they're going to take it up. It benefited white people is what you're saying? Well, what I'm saying is that people of color weren't allowed to have something that could have benefited them. Yeah. I'm saying it wasn't universal. The concept of the GI Bill is good, and it should just be like a universal thing. But also, asterisks, we must remember that part too. Florida politicians are drunk on power. Yep, here we go. Florida lawmakers are changing the law so DeSantis can be cleared to remain governor while running for president. Because, fuck it, right? Republicans in Florida Senate have passed a bill that would make it easier for DeSantis to run for president because Florida has a resign to run law. So that's what they're trying to finagle. State Senator Travis Hudson, a Republican of St. Augustine, altered language on Tuesday to the so-called resign to run law that would allow DeSantis to maintain office if he runs for president or even vice president. It passed the chamber on Wednesday along party lines of 28-12. So, like, cool, dude. I guess we just, like, make unilateral, like, decisions that only benefit one party. Cool. This is the same party, mind you, that claims to be about, like, liberty and freedom and whatever bullshit. Anyways, under current Florida law, there's some questions over whether DeSantis would have to resign his post as governor, but should he need to, that would leave him unable to return to his post even if he eventually lost the presidency. The amendment is part of a broader election reform bill. It was introduced the same day President Biden announced his re-election bid, and as former President Trump is escalating his attacks against DeSantis, who's widely expected to announce a bid for the GOP president nomination as early as May. So it looks like he will want to attempt to run after all. Who knows? The former president's campaign has already accused DeSantis of being in violation of the Resign to Run law through his book tour stops that began 2 months ago. The campaign also bashed DeSantis in an email circulated to reporters with an image headline "Never in Town" that criticized the governor for being on a foreign trip and a book tour while Florida lawmakers were in session. Governor Ron DeSantis wants to campaign full-time for president during the Florida legislative session while collecting a salary and having taxpayers pick up the costs for his travel and security. I mean, like, damn. While that's true, I don't know if these people... Glass houses. That's all I'm saying. Glass houses. Yeah, that's pretty messed up, Alio. Like, they just hate, like, they just hate the working class. Never, ever, ever, ever let anybody convince you that, like, Republicans are, anywhere near, like, remotely, the party of working class people. Like, that's just wild. That's just cruel. These people are fucking cruel. Anyways. The Trump campaign also released a negative campaign ad accusing DeSantis of attacking the man who saved his career, referring to Trump's 2018 endorsement. But lawmakers in Florida, where there is a GOP supermajority, appears to be siding with the governor. House Speaker Paul Renner and Senate President Kathleen Passidomo said in November that they both support a move to alter the Resign to Run law, Insider previously reported. The weird kind of inverse projection, the GOP for the working class, yep. If an individual who is Florida governor is running for president, I think he should be allowed to do it. I really do. That's a big honor and a privilege, so it's a good idea. The text of the law reads, any officer qualifies for federal public office must resign from the office he or she presently holds if the terms or any part of the thereof run concurrently with each other. A effing body armor ad? Yep. So, if you haven't been here that long, like, part of the charm of the stream is, like, we will get, like, the most wildest ads. Well, first of all, because of America. But if you hang out here long enough, like, we get, like, the funniest and wildest ads. So that's kind of part of the stream. Under the language of the law, candidates have 10 days to resign after they qualify for federal office, but exactly how that's defined when it comes to the presidency isn't clear and is open to different interpretations. The language Hudson introduced Tuesday would exempt anyone running for president or vice president from the requirement. The clarification would ease DeSantis' path forward and subdue the criticism from opponents such as Trump. Hudson made the clarification argument on Wednesday during a question and answer session with state senators, though he maintained the change wasn't necessary. But Democrats criticized the move. Democratic Senator Tina Scott Polsky of Boca Raton raised concerns about the legislature giving DeSantis a path to dereliction of duty. If you think the reason why we had resigned to run laws, it's so that people could focus on their campaign and not be negligent about their current office. How is it that the governor of 23 million people is going to spend a year and a half going around this huge country and govern this huge state? Yeah, because he doesn't give a shit. He's already... Arguably, he's already kind of skirting that gray area by, like, hiding a book tour while going around the country. But okay, whatever. Hudson disagreed with that assessment and that DeSantis wouldn't be able to both operate as a governor and run for president. It's probably a little bit me being a little selfish here. It's for some reason the governor is not going to win the president of the United States. I think he's done a great job as governor. I think he should stay as governor. There's precedent in Florida for changing the election law. The legislature loosened the law in 2008 when Governor Charlie Crist, a former Republican, was a running mate contender for the GOP presidential candidate John McCain, but then changed it back to 2010. It's not clear whether DeSantis would want to hold down the grueling task of running for president while also leading the third largest state in the U.S., along with being a spouse of Florida's First Lady, Casey DeSantis, and parent to 3 children ages 6 and younger. Yeah, I don't know. I've got different obligations, not the easiest thing in the world to go through. I also want to make sure that I have a very clear rationale for what I'm doing, says DeSantis. He's a sociopath. Of course he wants both. Yep. Not surprising. DeSantis resigned from the U.S. House when he ran for governor. If he were to resign the governorship, then Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez would replace him, becoming the first woman to become governor of Florida. DeSantis was legal counsel responsible for asserting people's rights at Guantanamo. That's evil in my book. Yeah, dude, the guy, I'm telling you, this guy is much more dangerous than Trump or any of these clowns are. Like, this guy is legitimately dangerous. If he gets his way, like, it's bad news. This guy's unironically worse in the sense that he has more capability to actually enact these horrible legislation than someone like Trump would. So yeah, he's actually very dangerous, which is why we keep an eye out. DeSantis brushed off his recent drop in hypothetical 2024 polling, pointing out that he's not a candidate for president. And on Monday, he told Fox News' Sean Hannity that he didn't know why Trump was attacking him. He also, however, dug at the former president's election record. DeSantis won a blowout re-election victory while Republicans elsewhere struggled, including those backed by Trump. We worked really hard for this re-election in Florida, and I always had a good relationship with him, he said of Trump. And then once the midterm elections happened, he started taking shots at me because he thinks that you're a threat. He thinks that you're a threat. He understands the murky side of the legal system. Yes, and he's much more he presents himself to the people who like don't know much about DeSantis or haven't really paid much attention to someone like DeSantis. He appears like more or less like a politician, right? He's not bombastic like Trump. But underneath all that, he's incredibly effective at getting some very horrible legislation done. I mean, we've seen what's going on in Florida, okay? So if you see like what's happening, yeah, is it Trump cosplay, but like underneath, he even acts like some of his mannerisms, but he's not as bombastic as Trump. And like again, on the outside, make no mistake, he does look a little bit more like a politician. So I think that makes him a little bit more dangerous. But yeah, make no mistake. This if you've watched what's happening in Florida, and see what's been going on and the type of legislation that they've been enacting or tried to enact, yeah, it's ringing some serious alarm bells. It's ringing some serious alarm bells from like obviously the abortion stuff, because well, they don't believe in bodily autonomy. Authoritarians like him do not believe in bodily autonomy. The fact that they're trying to set the stage for the opposing party, the Democratic Party, to be decertified. I mean, the fact that they like tried to finagle with election laws under the guise of election integrity, when in reality Florida basically had like no problems in the election. I mean, like that just kind of questions, should make you question what this dude's motivation is. The fact that he's like trying to like legislate the type of like books that you're allowed to read and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, this guy's bad news. This guy's bad news. He's an authoritarian fuck. Stephen Miller's taking legal action against the M&M company. Was the M&M company too sexy, or what happened there? Anyways. Alright, good memes. Cool. We did it, everybody. We managed to get through it. America First Legal, the legal activist group founded by former Trump advisor Miller, filed a complaint on Wednesday with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission against Mars Inc., the maker of M&M's. A pro-Trump nonprofit alleges Mars' efforts to increase diversity and representation of minorities within its workforce constitute discrimination and violation. Yeah, of course. This is some like fucking racist shit. Yeah, no surprises there that Stephen Miller's trying to make the Stephen Miller's organization America First, which is like synonymous with fucking like fascist, like the fascist movement here. Yeah, no surprises there. Yes, when you attempt to have more diversity, that's the actual racism. Cool, dude. Nice meme. No surprises here from like Stephen Miller and his ilk. Authoritarian is narcissism and psychopathy, low empathy. They're all motivated by the same desire for control and obedience because they all have the same personality disorder. I mean, makes sense. I mean, it checks. It tracks. It tracks. If you watched, I mean, I don't know how many other like examples that we need to illustrate the point that I've literally beaten to death, that like the Republican Party is just fundamentally incompatible with democracy. I mean, like, I don't know how many like examples, how many times I have to beat that point to death. But yeah. Anyways, the fact that Stephen Miller is like trying to make a legal action against M&M's, because M&M's wanted to increase diversity and therefore like that's representation of like minorities. Yeah, that's the that's the real racisms. Nice, cool. Thank you, Stephen Miller. There's more prevalence of those personality disorders in politicians, surely. Won't surprise me. Alright, folks, I gotta run. I'm starving and I'm tired. Folks, if you enjoyed the content and you want to help this channel, make sure you hit the follow button. If you can't help this channel monetarily, you can always head on over to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so. Hit the big red subscribe button. It really does help us out. We're at 227. 227 subscribers. Make sure you spread the word far and wide. We're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I had a coworker who went to school with Miller and said he was always that way and they all hated him. Not surprised. Not surprised. GG's good stream. Thank you so much, and I appreciate the follow and you hanging out. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you, Alio, for the subscription, the biddies. Thank you to all the new follows. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You guys are what makes this channel grow. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one, Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. Thank you, SV Harkin. Appreciate it for hanging out in the chat. Thank you, Alio. Thank you, Zachap. Thank you, Sharpie Diesel. Wolf Glenn, thank you so much. Dr. Cheapskate, thank you for hanging out in the chat. Dankley, thank you so much. Mono, thank you so much for hanging out. Echo Wrestle Dragon, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. Alright, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.